This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released May 23rd, 2020. Episode 543. Cassette decks have browsers?
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's up, nerd?
Looking at some interesting stuff in the marketplace. I'm trying to distract myself from part sourcing. I'm sure we won't talk about that at all.
No.
This entire episode. Yeah. But I've been watching the AirTag teardowns. Have you been watching those?
I haven't. I've seen them pop up, but I have not watched them. That one uses the Nordic chipset, doesn't it?
Yeah, NRF 52832, which is another reason I can't get that part.
If those who don't know, this is an Apple fruity gadget.
That's right. Yeah. So it's like it's basically like it's like a Tile, basically. Tile is another company that does this sort of thing.
I've never heard of them.
Where basically it's a...
No.
Oh, no? Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, Tile is like an asset tracker where it's Bluetooth based. And the idea was because the broadcasting is like a beacon, as far as I understand it, don't at me. As far as I understand it, because it's broadcasting like a beacon, like you can open up the Bluetooth menu on your phone and it'll show whatever device is around. Basically, the app on your phone watches for all these beacons that are happening as you're walking down the street. And if someone reports to the network, hey, I lost my suitcase and it had beacon ID 1234569, your phone goes by,
scans
the train station.
It, right.
It scans it, sees it, and then it tags it because your phone has a GPS on it. And see, the idea being that you keep the per device cost down because, Bluetooth chips are cheap and cheapest chips, as I believe some say, and low power, and, basically can last for a long time as a sealed package. And then as people, it's basically kind of wisdom of the crowds kind of idea where, because you have so many people with phones using this app,
supposedly
part
using
of this
ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, but if you want to be part of the ecosystem, there's definitely a network effect. But if you want to be part of the ecosystem, you also have to be willing to have your phone scanning for other tags. I believe this is a similar thing that Apple's doing. Maybe longer distance now because Bluetooth long range.
Right. I thought, though, because this comes into the Australian COVID tracing app, which was an epic failure. I thought this didn't work on Apple's because this is, if you don't know, Australian had this COVID tracing app, back like a year ago during the, May or something last year, peak of the pandemic. We're going to force you to use this COVID tracing app. Everyone download it. Otherwise we'll, papers, please. Yeah. Anyway, and like everyone went, groan. Some people, quite a few people install it, but then people realized that it doesn't actually work on Apple devices because because it used Bluetooth, right? So the whole idea is that everyone has this app. It talks in the background and it's sharing your location with it's sharing your location constantly and other people. And if you come within, 10 feet of a COVID positive person or something, then it'll warn you or, it's good. And then you can track, you can do, COVID tracing and stuff like that as well. Right.
But and it's supposed to be like rotating codes too. So at least the US version I'd heard about is supposed to be
something like that. And it's supposed to store, and they went to team effort to try and prove that no, we're not tracking you. It's like, and that's the whole idea of the app anyway. But no, we're not storing the data. Trust us. Anyway, the problem is that on Apple iOS, it's so secure that it would only work if the app was not only running, but had focus. So if you if your phone went into, actually goes into your pocket. Right? If it goes into your pocket and it goes into lock, it doesn't work anymore. The constant Bluetooth thing didn't work anymore. It was a security feature of Apple and it was a complete and epic failure. And it simply did not work. And, and they wasted, tens of millions of dollars on this boondoggle. And somebody could have told them right off the bat that, sorry, this doesn't work on Apple devices. And of course, half the population have this stupid fruity gadget. So, I'm surprised they're doing the same. They're trying to do essentially the same thing here. Unless Apple have updated iOS that allows this.
Well, I don't know if it's the same thing.
But, well, it's got to be the same
this
thing,
is, I mean,
right? You're running the app. It's in the background. You don't want to leave this app running in the foreground all the time and leave your phone unlocked, right? That's just dumb.
I think if you had lower level control though of the actual iPhone, you could probably,
you can, but I thought it doesn't let you. That's the whole idea. It's actually secure.
Well, it's Apple. This is an Apple device though, so like like Apple's looking for their own. So like that's what I mean. Like, yeah, I could see that with like a third party developer.
No, I thought you were talking about this other one, the slate thing or whatever, tile thing or whatever it is.
Oh, it's tile. Yeah. I'm not sure about that one.
Right.
Maybe they were better programming.
No,
I don't know. Like I would figure that you would be able to, wake up the phone even and have focus. Or maybe, or also that was a previous versions of iPhone. So it could also be that. Maybe.
I think they did do updates to it or something. Apple did eventually kind of, change things to make it possible somehow. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, tile. Yeah. Anyway, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a Bluetooth scanning thing, right? Yawn.
It's not just Bluetooth though. So it's also wideband, right? So basically that's a little different. So the stuff that's in here, I'm just on the iFixit. I'll put this in.
What do you mean by iBand?
The notes as well.
Well, what do you mean by wideband? What do you mean?
They have a special chipset for that. I have no idea, honestly. Let's see.
What's it searching for? Police radios or something? I mean, what do you like? Wideband to me means, it's searching the entire spectrum. Like, why?
This says for spatial awareness. That's what the U1 chip is for. So I'm not sure how that would be used in an AirTag, but.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it.
Like wideband is usually that's like the high frequency, the gigahertz transceivers and stuff like that. You would use that if you were. I'm not sure about the Apple one, but other ones like in your car, it's wideband often for proximity detection, right? So you know how like when you are merging into a new lane and the little light goes off, the light on your side mirror, that's because there's like a 26 gigahertz wideband, ultra wideband transceiver on there. Basically, it's just spitting out RF and then seeing what bounces back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm not sure how it would be used here, but
yeah.
All right. Interesting what they've got going on. And so I'm guessing there's other sensor style things that are on here, but the main thing I believe is the NRF52832, which is, a Bluetooth transceiver, and it's got NFC as well, right? I've used that. If you get the developer kit, the 832DK is like the board that everybody kind of has as the basis of it.
All right.
Yeah. So there's a couple of DC to DC converters. What else is on here? Oh, a rail-to-rail IO op amp. I sent this link to you as well in the chat, so if you wanted to see this thing. And then an audio amplifier as well. That's interesting. So basically, this is a little bit more of a involved sensor device. But basically, people are reverse engineering it. That's how I started to see it. Colin O'Flynn and it was sharing a bunch of stuff about this. People basically getting at the JTAG, dumping the firmware, and it's little Bluetooth chip. So at that point, you could start to either put your own firmware on there or see what they're doing. Maybe not the most secure firmware that's ever been out there, but that's fine.
Right. Got it. And how long does the battery? Is this thing sealed? Because it has a coin cell in it, right? And is it like one of these like 5-year battery life things?
Yeah. So like at least the tile, it was a one and done. Basically, you buy it and you refresh it every year, and you just get a new tile and you re-register it at that point. Okay. That was kind of the idea. And then each year, so I had bought one. I had one like early on, which I think was Bluetooth 5 instead of 6, and maybe not even LE, but basically, it was pretty basic. And then just recently I bought one for a family member, and it was like super thin, super tiny, had a lot more features. So, and like super cheap too, like $10, $20 for these things. So,
actually, I'm surprised this thing's not potted. Actually, no, this has an easily replaceable battery. So it looks like you just, it's got a CR2032 and Bob's your uncle. Right. And a little battery compartment thing. So, but I'm surprised it's not like a little potted blob, because if I was designing one of those tags, which has to be robust, right? Because the whole idea is like you attach it to your luggage and stuff, right? And it gets the absolute crap beaten out of it, right?
From just a vibe, shock and vibe kind of thing.
I would.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just pot it. So.
That's true. That might end up impacting antenna performance, though.
Oh, yeah, but you can deal with that. You can sort of put the antenna towards the outside and then pot around it, kind of thing. So it's
But then we wouldn't be able to see a teardown either. You know?
Oh, no, true. But still, you know, no.
Yeah, so it's interesting seeing this stuff. I mean, there's a ton of stuff out in the IoT world around asset tracking.
Yep.
But this is a very specific brand of it, I think. You know, this is Bluetooth based. It requires, you know, that a phone walks by it, that it can act as a beacon. It requires some level, you know, if you're a farmer in Nebraska and, you know, you have like 2 neighbors, this is effectively worthless to you, right? But if you're living in Chicago like I am, you know, there's all these people walking by your stuff all the time, and it's able to kind of broadcast. Yeah, that might have some more. I mean, I guess maybe the Nebraska farmer, you could start to do like time. I think there's some time of flight stuff in here too, so you could start to say like, you know, where's my wallet in the house if you had one in your wallet or on the remote. So I guess you could do that sort of thing, but you're not going to get the like, you know, someone stole my dog, where's my dog sort of thing, you know, unless you're driving, you know, in a crosshatch pattern across town trying to see if Fido pops up on your on your ID thing. So
it's the modern day equivalent of war driving then.
Yeah, I guess that could be. Yeah, sort of. Yeah. I mean, asset tracking is moving into like the cellular space as well, right? There's all these chips, like, so this has a Nordic chip on it. There's also the NRF91. We've had Jared Wolf on the show, and we've talked about that sort of thing too. Basically, tiny. I do think that's kind of the future, and that's probably what we'll start to see. But it's still just so expensive.
Hang on, I'm looking at the board now. It's a little circular ring kind of thing, and it's got a Maxim Class AB digital audio amplifier in it. What the? Why?
Yeah, I said
what does that do?
I have no idea.
What?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
There's two amplifiers. There's a TLV 9001 as well. I guess it's an op amp, not an audio amp.
So it's got a custom Apple-y fruity chip in it, the U1 ultra wideband transceiver.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that is in the iPhone as well for like.
Oh, okay. Right.
Like proximity detection and like spatial awareness, that sort of thing.
Got it.
So
okay.
Yeah. The RF engineers at Apple they've got a lot of stuff to do. That's for sure. It's I mean, like just this little tiny thing, it's like got so much RF spitting out of it.
Yeah,
already,
and it's but it's all in the software application layer as well. You know, that's where the magic. Yeah. That's where most of the magic happens, right? Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah. There you go. So you'll see how that stuff goes. I'm kind of interested in this. So I also wanted to talk about one other thing. So we missed that on here. I guess in the realm of IoT, which is, you know, I'm interested in. You're probably a little less interested in.
You think? Exaggeration?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think it's... Anyways, doesn't matter. So there was an article we had on here called Sidewalk Labs launches Pebble, a sensor that uses real-time data to manage city parking. Okay, whatever. So first thing I wanted to say about this is confusing as hell because Google has a group called Sidewalk Labs. However, there's a group at Amazon called Sidewalk.
Oh God!
And basically,
and then Pebble. I mean, I think of the Pebble watch.
And then Pebble, exactly,
right?
Exactly,
oh,
right? Yeah, it's like, come on, guys, let's get some name cross-referencing before we start naming things. Anyways, the Sidewalk Labs is interesting. Sorry, not Sidewalk Labs. Sidewalk, the Amazon Sidewalk thing is interesting because for a while now, right? So like not like your phone is sitting and broadcasting and doing, you know, or checking in on things. Now the Amazon Echo they've been putting LoRa chips on there, and I'm sure they've known about it, but they've started to activate them, right? So basically using Amazon Echoes as receivers as LoRa sensor collectors.
So they've activated Skynet is what you're saying.
I wouldn't say Skynet, but basically imagine now like the thing we're talking about here, where instead of phones kind of moving around and reporting GPS data or whatever, now it's basically, say someone steals Fido, right, in downtown Chicago, and they walk past an apartment on 3rd Street, right? And there's an Amazon Echo in there, and it's got enough range. And then there's a device that's tracking and saying, you know, so now Amazon wants to have basically tracking devices now too. Fido's got a thing on his collar. It's broadcasting. It goes past an Echo, and then the Echo knows where it is in space. And it could say, hey, I just saw Fido's tag.
Right.
You might want to track. And then maybe even over time, they could start to say like, oh, Fido's moving up 3rd Street, you know, like,
yeah, right.
And, you know, maybe he wasn't taken, maybe he was just wandering, but whatever it is. I mean, it's a wild world out there, man.
Yeah, no, I can see like that everything's about tracking these days, be it software, hardware, whatever. Everything's about it. I can see a time coming when there will be, part of the population that just goes like, it'll be trendy to not want to be tracked.
Oh, I think that already exists. Yeah.
Right. It's probably, you could say there's already here, right? People just go, no, they disable every tracking thing. It's like, it's getting too much.
People start to look like you in the cover image of our last episode.
Right. With the tinfoil
tinfoil hats.
Yeah. It's just, no, I'm personally getting sick of it. It's like, I can see the novel applications, but I'm not going to turn all this shit on just so I can help somebody find their Fido.
And that's an interesting counterpoint too, because specifically Apple, right, is making other headlines for in the iPhone privacy tracking. They're like turning off. You have to like opt into Facebook tracking now. There's like all this big do about that. Whatever. Yeah. I couldn't care less about it. I think it's it's fine. It's a good move. Whatever. Who cares? I don't have an iPhone. But they're like, oh, we're against digital tracking, but now it's like moving out into the real world. So
no, we want to track you here.
I think you're right that there are like things like this where people are going to be like, oh, I don't want this stuff to happen and to track in the real world or equivalent, and it's just going to be the usual trade-off of convenience versus privacy sort of things. I'm just really interested because Amazon Sidewalk's out there, right? Basically you can use this, you can basically pay for it, right? It's an AWS type of offering, so now you can develop onto this platform, and you just don't know. I think the thing that bugs me about it is just that it's almost impossible to know what your devices are doing anymore. Not like I really have this deep knowledge anyways, right? I don't know what my TV is spewing out on Wi-Fi or similar, but it's just like that is increasing. And that's a little, I wouldn't say scary, but I think it's just frustrating, right? It's just the complexity of the modern world. I think that's part of it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Enough of that Internet of Things tracking crap. Can we put that on the list of banned items on the AMP hour?
I'm going to keep talking about IoT. Right. I hate to tell you. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of my livelihood now.
Right.
Dave.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'll just have to put up
I do like cellular.
Yeah.
Because, it's at least a little bit more upfront,
Let's get on to something else.
But it's basically the cell companies also know exactly where you are and what you're doing, right? It's like we're all carrying around sensor nodes in our pockets every day to, again, for convenience. So
I'm seriously, I look around, and usually when I go to the gym, for example, right, I leave my phone in the locker downstairs, right? Okay. I just I do not take it in. I'm the only one who does that. I look around look around the class, and everyone has their phone in the class with them. Why? Why?
Do they listen to music during the class, or are they?
No. They will just be,
because that's like part of the class, right? It's like the pump up music.
Oh yeah, no, but you'll have music over the speakers. You don't have music through your own iPod thing,
I get it.
No, and it's they just want to desperately check 2 seconds before the class starts. They want to check their Facebook status. Bloody hell.
Facebook. I mean, Facebook.
I don't know. Whatever the kiddies are using these days, I don't know. Jesus.
I'd say TikTok, but I think that's probably already moved on to. Yeah, it is tough to keep track of.
It's just anyway. Nothing. Anyway, can we?
Well, why isn't the AMP hour on more social networks? Right. We have literally no idea where to go. Find us on Twitter, where old people hang and complain about hardware.
We need to be on TikTok, do we? We need a Twitter, TikTok, AMP hour TikTok. No thanks. Over my dead body. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of China.
Yeah. Sure. I guess. Yeah.
A hearty congratulations to I guess it's the Chinese Space Agency. Whoever. Sorry, I don't. No. CNSA. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they landed a Mars rover. First go.
Really? I didn't hear about this.
Yes. Huh. Look, I'll send you a link right now. Here we go. I'll send you the photo. They just released one photo because, this is like days after it landed because they don't release anything. It's like, right. But now that it's happened, they've at least released one photo. Oh, bloody links in this Zencaster aren't working properly. This sucks.
That's okay.
Anyway.
I'll get it. Yeah.
Yes, it's the Tianwen-1. If I'm pronouncing I'm butchering that, I'm sure. The Tianwen-1, it's got a little rover. And you can see a photo of the ramp, and it's going to come down, and it landed. And this is their first attempt. Whereas, like most countries have failed on their first attempt. Like Mars is hard, right? Landing something on Mars is hard. So yeah, hearty congratulations, they did it, and they've got this little rover. I don't know how much it can do. It's not a Curiosity-sized rover.
Yeah, do something. Come on, send us. Where's your quadcopter, man?
Exactly. It's so 2000s. It's like yeah. But no, that is hard to do.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, that is hard to do, and and there's I haven't seen updates show up on my Twitter feed. I'm not actively looking. I'm waiting until the YouTubers that the space people on Twitter that I follow retweet them. So because they're looking constantly and they're on top of this sort of stuff. So anyway, there's a little ramp that it's gonna drive down and drive around, I guess. So cool. Cool bananas.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be much features there where they landed. It's kind of like a real safe, flat spot.
Good for landing.
Yeah. This is our first go. Let's land somewhere.
Did they have a similar landing profile as like the hover and drop, or is it more like
I don't know. I think it was a completely powered
like the
descent,
balloon and roll thing.
It was just a completely powered descent. It didn't drop down tethered. There's none of that tether stuff. I believe it was just completely powered, like the Vikings landers back in the 70s. So
okay. What do you mean by powered descent?
Powered descent. It uses rockets and it just powers all the way down, and then just lands.
Got it.
So it doesn't like go. It doesn't drop anything on a tether and then cut the tether and drop it and then fly away. It's a fully powered descent, I believe. Don't quote me on that. So because that's just the easiest and safest way to do it, and they would be doing that. The West would be doing that if they were landing small stuff, right? Or they'd be using airbags.
There's like weight limits on
like that.
Right. I remember the one that was like a pyramid of airbags.
Yes, yeah,
right?
pyramid of airbags. Yes, that was 2 missions. That was the Sojourner rover and the other one. Yeah, the airbags. But for the Curiosity rover and the Perseverance rover, they couldn't do that. It was too big. It's the size of a car, so you can't. It's different.
SUV really.
Yeah,
right?
it's the
just
size
like
of an SUV. It's absolutely enormous, and it weighs a ton or more or something. And if you propulsively land that, you need so much thrust that the dust that goes
the rocket
everywhere.
Equation gets you too.
Sorry.
Like the rocket equation would get you as well?
Well, everything gets you.
Every
part of physics gets you. And you just need so much rocket propulsion to land the damn thing that it just kicks up so much dust. That's why they had to come up with the sky crane tether thing, so that the rockets were 10, I don't know how many feet up, right? How many meters up? 10 meters up or something like that. So you don't kick up as much dirt, because once you don't want your scientific lab that you're landing on Mars to be covered in dirt. Right, that's Sorry, I shouldn't be using the word dirt because it's technically not
Martian soil. Martian soil.
Regolith, I believe, is technically the name, but a lot of people think that's only in relation to the moon. But I don't believe so. I believe dirt is on planet Earth, but everything else is technically regolith, regardless of whether or not it's on the moon or on Mars or anything.
A layer of unconsolidated rocky material covering bedrock. That's the definition of regolith, apparently.
Right. Yep. So I do believe that is technically it. But anyway, Martian soil, Martian dirt, right? That red dirt stuff.
Yeah.
So
dirt goes here. Yeah.
And you don't want that blowing all over your nice, freshly landed science lab. So that's why that uses sky crane. But this one's a bit smaller, the Chinese one. So I believe they propulsively landed it. But anyway,
what they really need to do is just send a robot and then have a second robot that there's just with a can of like compressed air, and it just that's what the second robot's there for, is just clear it right out. It'll be fine.
I love it how Mars is technically a planet entirely habited by robots.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that we know of. There could be tiny little wee beasties out there,
and, stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Well, speaking of dropping electric vehicles on other planets, there's a new electric vehicle that dropped on this planet, and it's very interesting. Interesting culturally, I think, because of
in the US, nobody else gives a shit. Sorry.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. No, that's that. I completely agree. The fact that the F-150 is the number one selling vehicle boggles my mind every time.
Right.
Of course, once you go outside cities, it starts to make
sense.
sense.
But crap, isn't it? Apparently, it's like
oh no,
it's not. I thought it
Oh
was
no,
like crap.
they're super slick insides these days.
Right. Oh, okay,
Like,
right. I'm thinking,
but they're huge.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
I know it's
what you
enormous.
need.
I've seen some around here. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
silly.
Oh, really? They have them there?
Oh, yeah, and yeah, they actually advertise them. And there was just an ad last night that I
Oh.
saw on TV. They were advertising the Ford. You know, and their tagline is "It eats utes for breakfast." Right, so that's because it's a ute here, right? A truck is a ute.
That's right.
Here.
That's right.
So yeah,
Yep.
so they're advertising it eats utes for breakfast. So bastards, piss off. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. The things are stupidly big. Just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about this is, so I was listening. There's a report on, I think it might be this NPR report that the link is, but basically it's like they're not trying to say like, oh, it's environmental or anything like that stuff. It's like basically this thing is a beast, like it just hops off the line. It's like huge and it hops off the line because it's, an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And Yep. So seeing that is kind of interesting. The thing I'm not sure about is that they have, so you and I have talked about this, and you've also talked to some of the folks, I think, when you were doing all that electric bus stuff.
Yep.
But basically back powering a home.
That's
right?
called VTL, vehicle to load.
Yeah. So I think this has it. That's at least what the article implies, but I didn't see anything about the details of it. And, from it talks about like having outlets on board for powering stuff at campsites or work sites. That all makes sense, whatever. But the thing that interests me is back powering a home. That could be very interesting.
Oh yeah, technically the new model Leafs can do it as well.
Ah, okay.
But the box to do it is like $10,000, so it's like ridiculously expensive. Yeah.
Oh, so it's not just built in. You need like a secondary. No,
yes, you need a secondary thing. You can't just plug it into your PowerPoint at home. No, you need an inverter box. You need to meet all the regulations like you do for for an off-grid solar system, and the whole works, right? So there's all sorts of safety implications there. Oh yeah, so it's very expensive.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of the things, like if the power went out, like you could like go and just plug your fridge into this. It's got
of course, it's got
whatever.
But like, I just saw they've just they haven't released it yet, but people are test driving it. The one prototype that's going to be released, the new Hyundai Ioniq 5, and it looks stunning. Oh my god!
Yeah. That's the one you have, or
I have the Ioniq. Curiously, they've named it the Ioniq, but it's not really a follow up to my one. So it's not. It uses the name.
The brand.
They're just borrowing the brand.
Oh, it's a hatchback.
Yeah, it's kind of like a SUV crossover sedan kind. It looks like a sedan, but it's more of like an SUV size kind of, or a crossover SUV or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, wow, and it's got the same thing. It's got vehicle to load, and it comes with this little inverter that like pops into the side charging port. Right, it pops into the CCS port on your side of your car.
Oh, so like the charge port where you normally plug in,
and then it has a mains plug on it, and then you can just power anything, right? And then it can also do vehicle to, like, it could do the house thing as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So but they haven't
bigger
released
cables, lower drop, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's
because it supports the new 800 volt system, which is 250 kilowatt charging. It's like insane, like the
holy moly.
Yeah. Like, and if you don't know, for those, right, anything over 50, well, no, even the 50 kilowatt ones, they have, like, there's so much power going through these connectors. If you've like got a high power appliance at home, that's drawing like the maximum current for your mains, if you actually pull the plug off after you've used it, it's warm, right? Because of the contact resistance, right? That connector heats up. Well, imagine doing that for 50 kilowatts instead of 2 kilowatts. Right, right. Just at,
or 250.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking just at 50 kilowatts, right? Which is what mine's capable of. Actual maximum. Those ones actually run liquid cooling through the cables through the connector. To actually, you can physically hear the pump and you can feel it vibrate. You can feel the thing because they're pumping fluid. They're pumping cooling fluid through the cable through the charge connector, right up the cable. Because it's, that's why they're so big and bulky, and, it's not because they've got a lot of copper in there. It's because they're cooling the damn cooling hoses.
So is it just a simple pump for that sort of thing? It's just like closed system?
Yeah, it's just a closed pump system, and there's a heat sink in the big that's why those cabinets have to be so big, because they've got giant heat sinks and fans and things in them. So
got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
And they've got a little fluid pump,
crazy.
and it's like a closed, just like one of those newfangled gamer kiddie PCs, with the liquid cooled closed cycle
with ground lighting.
Yeah,
and,
with the RGB wank lighting,
sound sensitive LEDs. Yeah.
And but imagine 250 kilowatts, right? That's just it's like it's just nuts. That's like 5 times 50 kilowatts, which already has to liquid cool it. So, but your latest Teslas, I think they'll charge at 200 kilowatts, won't they? I think some of your latest ones, and So
the thing is, this is still so far out of my. Well, I thought it was out of my price range, but some of these new ones are getting cheaper and cheaper. So
you guys
nice.
have lots of subsidies over there, so you're pretty lucky. It depends on what state you're in. That's why everyone has a bloody Tesla over there, because they're all subsidized.
There's not that many here. Come on.
What,
well,
Teslas?
At least not in Illinois.
Come on, everyone in bloody California drives a Tesla. If you don't, you're a nobody.
California, there's more. Yeah,
you're a nobody.
Well,
you're a Neville.
You said it. You heard it here first, folks. I'm a nobody.
Nobody from
But
Chicago.
To be fair, I don't have a car, so there's also that. So I wouldn't have one anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't own a car, do you? Because
I do not. Yeah.
You're a suburbanite. You're a cityite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yuppie is, I believe, the term.
Yuppie, is it? Oh, God, that's so 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that term still around?
Yeah, it's usually used derogatorily, and it's correct.
Yep.
It's
right.
it's a lifestyle, and it's an annoying way to live, and I embrace it. So
excellent, more power to you. Yeah. Anyway, all these this year and next year, the market is going to be flooded with electric cars. Oh my God.
That's right.
The number that they got coming out.
Unless they can't build them.
Unless they can't build them, of course. Yeah, you won't be able to buy one for quids, The second-hand car market's boomed, apparently.
Yes.
It's absolutely booming because people can't buy new ones. So everyone's going to buy like a 1 to 2 year old lease car, They're buying all these second-hand
those are really hard to get too.
Right.
Yeah, they're basically the same price.
They're actually selling
as
out,
a
yes,
new car.
because everyone's they can't buy a new one, so they go look for one that's a couple of years old, and they're selling out too. And
Yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird time.
Yeah.
It's a weird time to be buying anything.
Crazy.
Lumber, houses, cars, whatever you want to build and buy. You basically can't right now.
Yeah, no,
it'll be interesting. I really, 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 we're gonna launch into the sourcing stuff now. I really, 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 really hope this swings back in the other direction. I have an inkling that it won't.
That it won't. Oh, pessimist, folks.
Yeah.
The eternal pessimist.
It just feels so bleak right now.
It feels so bleak. There's no way out of this hole.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, it just, I mean, I'm seeing lead times, lead times are just, we don't need to.
There's only one solution, Chris, and that's to go bush.
Just stop making electronics and
move out to the woods. Well, go woods, I guess, if you Yanks would call it.
Right.
Just move into the woods and.
Yeah, mountain man.
Yep,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'd have to get to the mountains first, but then be a mountain man. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
My current thing is write software for hardware I already have on hand. That's basically the best I can do right now. Just keep improving the same piece of hardware with firmware. So that's one thing I can do.
Well, if you can't buy new, you can always repair broken stuff.
Yeah, nice. That was a good one. That was a good one. What are you repairing,
Good
Dave?
Actually, no. I didn't think about that segue. There's 2 segues here. Should we talk about the thing I'm repairing at the moment, or should we talk about the right to repair?
All of those things. Actually, I have a third repair thing that actually is related to cars. I've been wondering this as I think about all these electric vehicle things. What's going to happen to all the car repair shops? Do you think they're going to switch over to?
They're all converting to EVs. Yeah. They're all recycling.
Okay.
I just watched a YouTube video last night about a company in the UK who, they're now specializing in EV battery refitting. So, getting older Leafs that are 9 to 10 years old and getting new batteries installed for them. And they've niched into that now. They've totally moved into
Interesting.
that. So, yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain parts of the car that are still going to be required, right?
Oh, no, of course.
Brakes and, axles and stuff like that. But
well, people think that these EVs have nothing in them, but that's not true. You've still got your power steering. You've got your aircon systems. These are all traditional systems. You've got cooling systems.
Well, not all of them are power steering, are they?
Yeah.
I mean, because some of them are.
These are all
hub
regular
motors. I
steering
guess you have to-
systems. You got to have
Hub
regular
motors, you would still need to. Yeah, you still need to like. Yeah, I guess you'd need to like have hydraulics to move that sort of thing.
Exactly. These are all got regular systems in them, but instead of being driven by belts from the engine, they're driven by motors, electric motors.
Yeah.
But they're all traditional aircon systems, are all traditional braking, so the hydraulic fluid braking systems, right? These are all traditional things, right? You can't just rely on the regen braking of an EV, right? It's got to have a traditional hydraulic fluid pressurized disc braking system, right?
Right. Clamp down on a disc or a drum or whatever.
So it's all there, right? It's all all these systems still exist. They're just being driven by motors instead of belts.
They're not going to be able to sell me. They're not going to be able to sell me oil changes as much. I guess they still have some lubrication.
No,
needs,
but
they won't be able to sell me like
they're
fluid
crazy
flushes
reliable.
Or...
Yeah, exactly. because timing belts are a thing, and so, like you don't have those anymore. They're more reliable because like how often does your aircon system in your car actually break down?
100,000 miles,
right?
Right.
Yeah. It's almost never.
Whatever.
Right.
Case. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So EVs are crazy reliable, but they still have all these traditional systems in there. They're just driven by motors.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I
remember why I actually thought about this. I was listening to this morning, and I was thinking about this, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to all these repair shops. And then I was like, thinking, oh, all these grease monkeys are going to start being interested in electronics. That got me very excited. And then the thought that really got me excited is you and I have said in the past, the best compliment we could get is that we're heirs to the thrones of car talk. And I was like, holy shit, it's happening.
Right.
So, when electronics and vehicles collide, the amp hour becomes car talk. And
right. Okay.
We got another 20 years in this then.
Sorry, I have no affinity for car talk whatsoever. It's just not a...
You should. You should go listen. It's still on. You can still hear all the episodes. It's so good, man. It's so good. Except the only difference is if people call it in here and they ask about their cars, I won't have any idea. So I guess we won't, I won't be doing that.
Okay.
All right. That's all I need to say about repair. What are you repairing?
I'm repairing an amp at the moment. One of those, newfangled surround sound receiver things. Does anyone have surround sound anymore? Like it was all the rage back in the 90s and 2000s, right? Everyone was installing surround sound speaker systems. Now everyone's got like a sound bar. Yeah,
my in-laws have a surround sound, and I've been at houses that have it. Otherwise, I mean, it's still around. I think it's just that sound bars are cheap.
Sound bars are cheap and easy. You don't have to install wiring.
They don't
and speakers
sound that
to
good. I got one. It's just not that good.
Oh, they're all right.
I mean, they're better than like
the TV. They're better than
flat panel TV speakers. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You just don't need depth to those things. You need some you need depth in a speaker.
Yep. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. You need a big throw. Those giant throw cones.
Exactly.
Pushing
That's
that,
right.
pumping that area.
It's an inductor with a piece moving through it. You need to move it through it. You gotta really push those air molecules around, man. Like,
well, this comes into
thump.
When we had Big Clive on the Amp Hour. He mentioned that. A lot of people, like, if they were listening to him on their phone speaper, they could not hear him. Yeah. They simply couldn't hear him because he's got really low bass. I can't even do a low bass voice, And me, everyone can hear me because I'm so high pitched, and everything's
his wonderful accent too.
Yeah. So, and those bloody little, neodymium magnet. Tiny little pissant speakers in your phone. Yeah, a little Class D with like a half-inch speaker or something in there, maybe less. I don't know how big the speakers are. I don't want to go I don't want to go audiophile, but I guess there's a whole new generation of people who don't appreciate good audio.
That would be me as well.
Yeah,
I mean, like I appreciate audio in that like we try and have decent audio on here, and like we want it to be at least a baseline, but I think baseline. We want it to be like a level of quality as best we can. But like, we're not like, ooh, but do you hear the finer touches of
the timbre of Chris's voice is just phenomenal
the
today.
Warm, crunchy sound of the tubes. No, I don't think anyone's listening to us through a tube amp. If you are listening to us through a tube amp, we would love to see your setup. And also, we have other questions.
Right. But no.
I always used to say like I didn't care. Like I grew up in college I was downloading 96 kilohertz, bitrate audio.
96K. Ooh.
It was terrible.
Yeah, 96.
So but any port in a storm, whatever the equivalent audio, anecdote is, I wanted the music. I wanted just to hear something.
That's still way better than tape though. That's way better than making a mixtape.
Yeah, maybe.
You
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea what a mixtape is, do you? You just
I know exactly what a mixtape is. Come on,
are not. Yeah, but you're not from that generation.
I
dude.
made mixtapes, Dave. I mean,
You made mixtapes.
my 12th birthday, I got a boombox with a double tape deck and a CD player. I mean, it was like
Chrome
at the
support?
end, so like
To have Chrome
no, I
support?
don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Like
metal
support?
tapes,
Did you say
Chrome tapes. Come on.
I thought you were saying Chrome support. I was like, did it run a browser?
Exactly.
No, I don't think it ran
I know. I knew you'd be confused by that. Yeah, that's why I put it out there. Yep.
So what is Chrome?
Metal Chrome. That was all the rage. You got Chrome tapes. They were higher quality.
Oh, interesting. No, mine were always vinyl, like the cheapo.
But your heads had to support it. Your physical tape heads had to support it. So there'd be a metal Chrome tape switch. There'd be normal Chrome.
You would get like
normal Chrome switch.
Really?
Yeah.
How do they like magnetically encoded onto Chrome? Is that
Well, it was Chrome was part of the formulation of the tape, and it was just metal tapes.
Okay. So it was like a harder tape or something, like for more write cycles.
It was physically better, dynamically better recording or something. I can't remember the exact advantages, but yeah. It was all the rage, yes. And if you had a high-end Walkman, it would have a normal Chrome switch on it. That'd, playback Chrome tapes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the limitations on Walkmans were more about everything else around the Chrome the Chrome tape head.
But all of your boom boxes, a good boom box will have a metal Chrome switch, a normal Chrome switch on it. I was just looking at boom boxes the other day. I'm sort of can I neither confirm nor deny that I have an eBay watch list for the boom box from the 80s. The boombox. Okay, I won't mention the model number. You'll have to just, yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to.
No, I don't want to. Flood the
outbid
market.
yourself by people watching it. Yeah, right.
People to outbid me. But, can neither confirm nor deny that an eBay watch list exists.
What are you going to do? Are you just going to tear it down, or do you have tapes anymore?
No, I don't. Maybe. Oh, okay. I've got some. Yeah, I've probably got some old tapes. Yeah. But
tapes. No, tapes didn't really. I mean, I think the mixtapes will live on in the cultural zeitgeist.
Yep.
But they're not coming back anytime soon. Like vinyl is.
No, I know. It'd just look good in the background. It'd be like a background piece on the shelf. Kind of thing. So
right. Yeah, old electronics behind you. That's what you need more of.
That's it. Not this newfangled tracking rubbish. Yeah.
Yes.
Bluetooth.
Right. So okay. So you have an amp. You are fixing an amp.
Yes.
But what is this a garbage amp? Is this from the trash?
No. It's belongs to a relative actually. So right. yeah. Occasionally they, I go, oh yeah, I'll have a look at it because I get paid to do this, right? Because I get advertising revenue from the videos, and everyone likes to see a repair video and stuff. So it's a vacuum fluorescent display is the failure, right? So a vacuum fluorescent display is failed. So and the thing worked. Like I was able to get the thing working without the vacuum fluorescent display, and it plays and everything's fine. So all the amp and all the power supplies and everything's just fine. And I went down there. It was one of those repair rabbit hole things, and it was one. If you've ever opened up these surround sound receivers, there's like a dozen boards in here, right? And they're all interconnected. And it's like
that's right.
And
wire harness on wire harness on wire harness.
And then it turns out that the power supply for the vacuum fluorescent display is not on the vacuum fluorescent display board. Of course not. It's like three boards removed from that, right? So
because usually the VFDs need like 60 volts.
They need minus 40, or something like that.
Minus 40. Okay.
On this particular one, it's minus 35, So
got it.
VFD. It turns out there's no minus 35 volt thing. So once I went down the rabbit hole, I forgot to check that. That was one of the supplies that that I was last to check. It was and sure enough, that seems to be the reason for the failure.
Thou shalt check power rails.
Thou
Dave.
shalt check
voltages.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I eventually got into it in the video, and but in the end, it was like, look, I've tracked it down to this circuit, but it's on this board, which is 3 boards removed from the display board.
Right.
And you can't just like turn it on. You can't because it's a soft power button.
Yeah, that system level troubleshooting is really tough.
Right, so you can't even power the damn thing up because the soft power button is on the display board on the front, and then the display board wires into the video mux-in board, which then the video mux-in board wires into the main power supply and video processing board, which then connects through to the amplifier board, which then connects back
Foot bone's
through
connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone.
to the I'm getting this right, and then goes back to the mains power supply board, which has the soft start relay that enables the damn thing.
Wow.
So you need to plug like 5 boards in together just to power the thing on. And of course, they're all physically butted at right angles, and you can't, So you just
so you have it like in parts strewn across the bench.
Yeah,
too,
and you can't even plug them together. So I've got to now straight after this, I'm going to get back into it because I got jack of it yesterday. I just wanted to do other stuff. So I released a part 1 video, but damn it, I'm going to fix it today and I'm going to release a part 2, hopefully. After this, I'm dedicated to go back in and I'm going to find the fault because I know where it is, but I can't power it up and test it. So I have to go in and check my next step is to check every component. I'll desolder them individually if I have to. I've already desoldered one of the transistors and measured it in a transistor tester, and it seems to be okay.
Oh, wow.
So, because like I can't power it up and measure voltages, right? So I can't, so all I've got to do is go in.
Sorry, why is that? Why can't you power it up?
Oh, it's just the way it's physically assembled. I can't do it. I can't access the board and power it up and access the bottom of the board at the same time.
Got it. Because it's all like folded up.
It's folded back on itself, and it's not cables. They're like right angle butt connectors and stuff. Like you can't. It's
right. So they do that because they want to, have space saving.
They want to pack as much into that as There's a lot of stuff packed into this one case.
Right.
It's
Well, it's always interesting too when you see that kind of thing. So if you went to the what I assume is the late 80s, early 90s shop floor where there was probably a tech doing that, what I would expect to see is that they have connectors and or a test jig that basically unfolds everything.
They have jigs, they have extender boards and stuff. Back when I was a repair tech, when I was a boy, we had special purpose custom extender boards, and that's how you did stuff.
So that you could see it, right?
You could physically, like if you're working on 19-inch rack gear, how do you like power it up? Like, rack cards, right? And, you should have a 19-inch rack product and then have all these plug-in cards with the handles, and the slide-out frames. And you can't work on those unless you have a giant extender board, which brings it right out. So you plug in your extender board and you bring it out, and then you prop the board up, and then you can probe all the individual stuff on that one board, So,
Yep.
So, damn it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to check it. It has to be. I've narrowed it down. I'm almost 100% confident there's something wrong with this particular circuit, which is on this board. So anyway, I'm fairly confident I'll find it.
So do you have like system diagrams as well?
Yes, I've got a full service manual for it. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, you do?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Without that, it'd be because, like, as I said, like, you would not think that where this vacuum fluorescent driver is, you wouldn't think it's there, right? It's like 3 boards removed from the vacuum fluorescent display board. It's like, from a design point of view, it's like, why put it there? Why on earth would you put it on there? It's like, it's because of the way it's routed and powered, and it's just it's a nightmare. So from a design point of view, it's just horrendous, and things are just scattered on different boards that you wouldn't think were even remotely related, and it's just
Yep.
So if you go in blind with no schematic, you're in a world of hurt,
That's right.
Especially when you can't check anything when it's powered on. The front panel display board, because it swung out, right? It was on a cable and it swung out from the front, and I was able to measure and access that, but the power supplies for it are not on there. So
right, they're passing it over. Over the
it's
cable.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So anyway, and speaking of repair, there's a Right to Repair summit that I'm almost certainly going to. In fact, I have actually registered.
Okay. In person.
It's the first Right to Repair summit in Australia. It's in Canberra, on which is our Australian capital. You've been to Canberra. We've stayed at Canberra.
I have, yeah. We went and looked at a huge satellite dish there.
Yep, we did. And we went to the museum there.
And people can listen to us talking in the car. And
went to Canberra. Anyway, it's down in Canberra, and sponsored by iFixit. Cool. And yes, it's 9th of July. It's a Friday, I believe. 29th of July, 2021. So, I'm pretty sure I will be there.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, right to repair. It'll be tiny, like because it's I don't know how big it's going to be, but yeah, I'll be there. So if you want to come hang out for the day,
you're gonna give a talk. Is it like talks or is it just gonna be like
it's talks and stuff? I think there are talks and there's people just hang out.
Give a talk. Come on, man.
Yeah, but I'm not in the repair business, although I just got through saying how I'm repairing something. But I'm not
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know what I'd talk about. But yeah. Anyway,
I tear things down for a living.
Yeah.
Look at all this stuff I've looked at. This is why this is important. Here's how we organize.
From a design point of view, there's absolutely no reason to have serialized chips and all that bullshit. It's just these companies, these fruity companies, are deliberately doing this.
Yep. Yes, they are.
There's no technical reason to do it. Absolutely none.
Oh yeah.
To have serial numbered, serialized chips that you can't even take a part from another iPhone, a genuine part from a genuine iPhone, and put it in another genuine iPhone to repair it. It's just ridiculous. You can't even cannibalize a unit for parts. It's bullshit. So, yeah. Anyway, there ends my talk.
Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
There's no reason for this. It's bullshit. The end. Thank you. I'm taking questions. So there you go. There's a preview. Ah, boy.
I am hoping there are. So I've talked to 2 groups that might have conferences in the US by the end of the year, which would be awesome. I don't know. I don't think I can mention which ones there are, but I am angling to be at one in-person event before the end of the year.
Oh, we'll okay. So this has nothing to do with repair. You're just excited that you have events again.
Just I want to see humans. I just want to be
that's a foreign concept here
nerds.
Because we've had this stuff for a year. So,
Yeah, I know. That's great. But I'm on a different continent and
on a different planet. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. It feels like it sometimes. Hello, Dave. Can you hear me from afar?
See, I just like this morning. I just saw Jerry Ellsworth, friend of the Amp Hour, tweet that I'm going to be able to hug people again in a year. She just had a shot, and I'm going, and this is just so foreign to me.
After
a
year, you mean?
Just, it's just I don't know. Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, that's great, man.
I just can't. Yep.
New T-shirt for Dave. I can't empathize.
I can't empathize.
Yes, we know.
Sorry.
In the meantime, there are still a lot of developer summits going on. There's one coming up for Zephyr. I'm going to be attending that one. People have heard me talk about Zephyr on here. It's a real-time operating system and cross-platform. You could put it on things like that chip we talked about earlier, NRF 2832. Yeah, pretty cool. Some good talks there. So I'll be at that. I actually really like this format too. It's basically a 3-day conference, but it's only like 4 hours a day.
Right.
And so it's like that's the way to do a conference.
And this is online, right?
That's right. This is all online. So it's also because it's Europe.
How's it being done? Is it just a giant Zoom meeting, or is it what is it?
Yeah, I think it'll be like if it's a panel, it'll be multiple people on a Zoom, and then everybody can watch it. Or if it's if it's just a person, then sometimes they pre-record them even, and they'll do questions at the end, that sort of thing. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of things. It's tough. I've done like 1 or 2 virtual conferences since the beginning of the pandemic, and obviously nothing in person. It's really tough to stay engaged. So the ones that do keep people engaged, I'm very impressed with. Usually it's because they have other things going on during a conference. It's just, you gotta have something to keep you there and keep you engaged, because email is always calling and chat and forums.
Yeah, it's
and
too easy to
on the web,
get distracted and check Twitter and
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, unless you're like posting about it on Twitter and having a discussion there. But I think you just need to have some kind of way to keep involved in what's actually happening.
Cool bananas.
My old company, Supplyframe, got bought.
They got bought out. Yep.
Yeah.
Like $700 million, dude.
Yeah, many bucks.
I mean, they're just essentially an advertising agency, aren't they?
No, they have like SaaS tools too. That's the other thing. So they were selling like intelligence tools to big companies.
Right.
I think there's a lot of interest right now too, because you may have heard there are part shortages. I don't know about you, but I'm on Find Chips a lot, which is one of the sites I helped use when I was when I was there. Just because basically when there's no parts anywhere, you're trying to look everywhere, and that's kind of one of the things they do. So they got bought by Siemens, and Siemens owns Mentor as well. So it's interesting to see that Siemens is moving into this space. Big German.
Oh, right. So there could be some integration with of fine chips with that, perhaps. Maybe that's one of the Just like Altium bought Octopart, and then they integrated it, kind of thing.
I think there's a lot of interest in like the data intelligence side of things, but real happy for my my former coworkers. All my friends are still there, so
excellent.
Congrats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that did employees own that? Did they have stock options or what?
It was a private company, so there was
right. So probably not. Right.
It was like venture capital funded, so it was technically still a startup.
Okay, right. So
16 years on, I think it was still a startup.
Some vested interest. Yep. Okay, so I hope I hope they did get a payday.
Yep.
Because we talked about that the other week. The advantage of and the disadvantage of going to a startup is like, we can pay you in script, but I can't. I'm having trouble at the local supermarket trying to pay for my groceries in script.
I always think about the Simpsons sketch where like Homer goes to Itchy and Scratchy World and he changes all his money over to Itchy and Scratchy Bucks. Right. And then he walks into the park and everywhere has a sign up that says we don't accept Itchy and Scratchy Bucks. They're non-refundable. Right, so it's just like yeah. Yeah, that's how I think about most startup stock options. Sometimes though, it works out.
Yeah, sometimes it works out.
Take your shot. Make sure you're getting a salary though too. That's the important thing, folks.
Who was it who we've had? Oh, I forget his name. Sorry. Who we've had on the Amp Hour, who was the co-founder of Acrebot, along with Brie Pettis.
That's right,
Zach. Yes, and I can remember. Yeah, him like he totally abandoned the company, but he still had all the stock in it. And then when it finally got sold, he just tweeted, "Thanks for the 20 million or whatever. I'll see you on the beach." It's like
that's right. Yeah, and if you it's Zach Smith. If you I followed him for a long time on Instagram and stuff like that, and true to his word, I don't think he came back to electronics.
Right,
I don't think I've seen him.
Off,
if he is listening,
right,
we'd love to see you back.
Yes,
Zach.
We'll have to link that one in. That was a good episode.
Living it up on the beaches of Thailand and similar. Yep. So last I watched, and
good on him.
Good on you.
Yeah, it pays off sometimes. Yep.
That's right.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well.
It's a shot in the dark sometimes, but Let's see what else is on my thing.
Let's close it up.
I had an interesting conversation about library structures for CAD. And I was wondering if you have any thoughts on how to set up libraries, or if you always just kind of walked into systems that were...
No, please don't mention the war. Don't mention the war. Like, when I worked at Altium...
internally even at Altium?
Sorry?
Got it. Yeah, so keep going. I think this is what I was talking about.
Yeah. When we worked at Altium, there were there were multiple ways to do libraries. Let's just put it that way. And there still are in Altium. There's multiple ways to do it. And in the time that I was there, the 4 years I was there, it was still not clear the direction the company was taking, or, the company really hadn't solidified, right, everyone should use, this is the way to do libraries. It was like, meh, here's all the different ways to do it. Pick whatever one you want, kind of thing, So it was
that
like,
doesn't work.
So our own hardware group, we went, well, we're going to use this method. And, it was like, And, so I know what it's like these days. It's all.
So I've been thinking about this for KiCad, and I was talking to someone about, they were basically, they're, getting started with KiCad, and they were asking me about it. And I was thinking about it, it's like, maybe we just need to draw a line in the sand and be like, here is a way. It doesn't have to be your way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the way, but it is a way. You know what I mean? And like,
I think there should only be one way to do it. I think a CAD tool should have one way to do it, and everyone uses that.
Oh, interesting.
Because it was just so frustrating. It was like, how?
What was the justification to switch between the different ways, though? Is it because there's some inflexibility somewhere?
Oh, it depends where you came from. It depends if you had legacy stuff. You know, a lot of people had legacy libraries and they were just used to doing it that way. So Altium couldn't just suddenly abandon support for that. But they also want to push the tool in new directions and follow new, cloud-based, there's many reasons to go to like, proper cloud-based libraries and things like that. Right. And
okay,
then,
so some of this is sort of like file based versus database based, right? That's like one way of thinking about it.
well, there's at least three major ones with any, there's like you keep your own local ones and you do it per project. Well, even that's split into two, right? You can either keep a global library local for yourself.
Yeah, so it's like on your machine.
Yes,
and
it's on your machine and it's on your...
And everything that I use, I have a common library.
I have a common library across all products. The other way to do it, of course, a lot of design engineers, and there's nothing in... Some say there's nothing inherently... You could argue there's nothing inherently wrong with this, is to do a project-based library. You have a library for each project, and you build it up as specifically needed for that particular product. And, and there's pros and cons both ways of doing that. You can't say one's better than the other. It depends on the circumstances, right? And then you've got a central... So I can't... God, used it so in... It's been out of the Altium loop for so long. Then there's the central server, so you don't keep it local anymore.
Right. So like now, like the company has one, and you basically pull from
and
that.
then you actually set up a dedicated server, right? It's actually a server product. It's a software.
Yeah, like Phones Home, and now it's almost like a GitHub style,
it's something like that. Yeah,
local remote.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing,
I can't believe I can't remember the name for it. But anyway, yes, it's the Vault or whatever, the Vault servers or whatever.
Yeah, the Vault's one thing. Yeah, right. But the downside to that is now if you have a company librarian and they update a part and you're working on design that hasn't been updated yet, does it pull it in
or has some unique requirement, and where that thing doesn't no, sorry, I need something I need an ultra tiny footprint because I'm working on a watch product, right? A tiny ultra tiny, so I have to use ultra tiny pads, whereas somebody who's working on a 19-inch rack mount unit, they don't want that footprint. Right?
They want the extra copper to help pull the heat away.
but it's an identical part, right? You both use the same part. It has the same bomb number. It comes on the same reel. It's in the same place on the pick and place machine, and everything's programmed the same, but you have different footprints. Right. And then you have, do you have alternative footprints that you can use? But then they go and update that. And it's like, it's a mess. And then you've got the cloud-based, the whole idea where it's a global thing. It's not just company-wide, it's global. It's like, there's only, of course, there's only one footprint for an 0402 component. Why would you use anything else, you idiot? Right? Of course, no. Everyone in the world should be using this one footprint for this 04. And there's people who argue that this is a good way forward, right? That there's one universal footprint that everyone should use. Right. And in some cases that's true. In other cases, no, that's bullshit. Right. And there's so many ways it's a mess. It's just an absolute mess. And then within that,
I think there is a lot of depth within that too. But you said there should be one way at a company. Does that mean you have a preference personally?
Well, it depends on the product I'm working on, quite frankly, right? Because I've worked on products
I'd say
that have different requirements. Yes, it's physically the same part, but I want to use different footprints, or I want to...
No. I meant, sorry, the library setup.
Oh,
I
the
agree
library
about the
setup.
thing. Because this also kind of got me thinking. So last week we had Jan on the show too.
I would say that a company should have a library. A company should have a company library. I think that's the best way to start from. And then if you have individual requirements, you deal with that. I think that's probably your best bet.
Yeah,
but,
so we had Jan on the show last week from Partsbox, and he was we were kind of talking about this as well with meta parts and all that other stuff too. And so that also got me thinking about the centralized database idea. And like, if you're buying parts, and I was thinking about my time at Keithley, and like we had like customer part numbers, they were specific to us. They, there were some alternates that you could have in there, but basically if you have a part that's an in-house part, you should definitely have a centralized database for that part.
Right.
And I actually like that. But there was a librarian that did all that stuff. So it was like, the overhead to do that sort of thing is significant, I think. And it's just like, so it's also like, where are you in the scaling of the whole thing, of like, how big is your company? You know, how many parts you use in a year?
How many products you got?
How long does it take to get a part made? You know, like what's your approval to get a part into your system in order to get purchased by your purchasing group if you're big enough for that sort of thing.
It's just crazy. And then within Altium, like our hardware group, the four of us, who were designing the hardware products, we were using, we ended up using SVN, the Tortoise SVN interface for our component libraries, right? And that's another subset of how to do it, right? Rather than just like local ones that say with the project, it's a Tortoise SVN based, which is like a GitHub-y kind of, thing.
Yeah, I mean, Subversion's another version control.
Sorry, right? Tortoise goes on top of Subversion, so it's SVN is Subversion. So but we use the Tortoise interface on top of that, something like that. Okay. And that's how we were doing it. But I think we weren't unique on that, but Altium supported it. But that's not what we were pushing at the time. But that's what our hardware group. We weren't pushing that as a company, right? As the solution. But that's what we were using internally in our hardware group, just because. At the time when we started that, well, it seemed a reasonable way forward, and we just stuck with it.
Right, and it seemed to fit.
Right? Yeah, it fitted, and we stuck with it. We were used to it,
your legacy
and
too.
it was like, Yeah,
and I think that, so if there is a line in the sand, I think it's important to basically couch it in terms of like what it's used for, right? So it's like, so probably what I'm going to do is like, here is a small engineering company KiCad setup for a library, right? That I think is the best practice. That would be like what I'm going to move towards and develop. It's Chris's small company
right.
KiCad setup, right? Because it could be totally wrong for another group too, but I still think that like when someone asked me, I suppose, not you as well, but someone asked me like, what is the best way to do it? It's always tough to be like, well, there's so many ways. Most people just want you to say, here is a way or the way, and give it a shot. See if you like it, and if not, modify from there. It's like a template almost.
But then when you go, and then modify from there, that's the path that leads to the dark side, right? It's like because then you're doing it different. It's like
hate leads to suffering.
Hate leads to choice leads to component suffering.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Oh God, it's just so it ended up like the hardware group in Altium was using a different system to most of our customers. It was kind of like but But it was good. Like I didn't mind it. The way we were doing it was okay, and everyone was happy with it. And but it wasn't the way we were pushing. So, it's just a mess. Yep.
You were dog fooding the process, it sounds like, and pushing back pretty hard.
Well, I've mentioned this before. We were supposed to eat our own dog food. If people don't know this term, it's a startup. Or it's a industry term, which means you're supposed to use your own product, right? Good or bad, you're supposed to use your own product. Yeah, so we were supposed to eat it, and also within, especially in software companies, in terms of what it meant at Altium, eating your own dog food meant you had to use the daily build. And I'm not kidding, right? They would build a new version daily, so it would pull in all of the code changes that the programmers had made overnight, right? It'd pull it in, it'd run some automated test stuff to make sure it wasn't broken, right? They had these automated, really advanced things to, check it, do exhaustive testing, and then it spat out this new version. And we were the hardware group that were trying to do practical work. We were supposed to use the daily build. We were supposed to update daily and use the latest build. So
how often did you actually update?
How
That's
often
what I really
did we actually update it? Well,
did you have like the secret version that was like
we
running
all agreed,
alongside it?
We all agreed on one version that we thought was the most stable and the best, and we for real work,
right? You pick it out and you say, "Here's the most recent stable
Here's
one."
the most recent stable one, and all of us agreed.
Yeah, totally.
All of the hardware group, we all agreed that was the best version, and we all secretly used that to do any serious work.
Yeah. As we move towards V6 of KiCad, this is a very common this is a common occurrence right now in the KiCad world as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta just pick your battles.
Yep. And so that doesn't surprise me that that's in the KiCad world as well. So
Yep.
Anyway, so that was interesting. But the most interesting part of that is I was so scared that using another build would break my files, right? Like if I edited in this daily build, I would lose that day's work or whatever, that week's work, because they'd changed the file format or something had changed and my files wouldn't import anymore. Never happened once. So I'll take my hats off to the way the programmers at Altium programmed the file structure, in that you would never break it. It doesn't matter what crappy build you use that day, you could save your files, like the program, like if it was a horrible build and something went horrible and it was buggy as hell, right?
What I'm really thinking here, Dave, is I kind of wish, like how you always say, like, I wish your projects don't work. I kind of wish that in the first week it would have just completely ruined one of your sets of files, and then you'd been like, I should really get into revision control. Right. You would have been like, oh yeah, this is a thing now.
Yeah, but you would still lose that week's work.
Oh, true. Yes. Yeah. You would still. Yeah, you'd burn it. Yeah.
Right, because the file, it actually corrupted those files, right? Like you couldn't then load it back into a stable version, but that was never the case. I never encountered that once. I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed.
My revision control it prevents that. So.
Well, your revision control is dependent upon it always working, right?
Nope. No, I mean, it's so.
Oh, you store the entire copy of the file, right? Of the program, right? The working copy of the program.
No, I mean, so I do a revision control. So today's Thursday here, and if I end of the day and I do my final commit and I push it to the server, and then Friday morning I come in and I pull down a new version of KiCad and it completely corrupts that file, I just go and grab yesterday's files from the server.
But if you've been using that version for a week and you've done a week's worth of work and you suddenly find, it's all corrupted, then you've lost that week's work. Your version control isn't going to save you. It's not going to save your bacon.
Sure it is, because I do commits every day, like multiple commits a day.
Yeah, but you're committing in that new corrupted version. So if you, that's what I'm talking about. If you have to go back to that stable version and this new file format that you've got is not compatible with that old version, you've lost that week's work. You're screwed. That's what
you're saying that all the changes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. That would be.
That is the fear I had at Altium, and it never happened. It was amazing. Regardless of how crap that build was, the files would be compatible. I was stunned. Yeah. So anyway.
Hats off.
Yep.
Hats off.
That's it. Interestingly, can we talk about it's not on the list, but Audacity, which we use. It's split. Yep. Oh, they got bought out by, I can't remember which company, Muse? Yeah, they got bought out by a company called Muse.
Muse Score.
Muse Score or something. They've got some other music products or something.
Yeah, they do like musical transcription or
but anyway, the open source Audacity, if you don't know, Audacity is probably the number one audio editing sort of like open source kind of audio editor kind of thing.
They estimated 20 million users.
Yeah. So so it's a lot for an audio editing tool. And and it's the one we use, and they got bought out, and within the ink wasn't even dry on the contract. It was less than 24 hours. It wasn't even dry on the contract before the company started adding tracking stuff into the source code. Wow. Yep. So all of the users suddenly went, "You're tracking us? Bullshit." And they were using the F word. They were starting to mention the F word, the fork word. Right? Yeah.
Record scratch.
20 for less than 24 hours to talk about forking. I mean, come on.
You gotta have a little more tact.
At least wait 6 months or a year,
Exactly. Yeah, sneak it in later. Come on, man.
Dickheads. Oh, unbelievable. Yeah, that's dumbass, really. Anyway, we're way over our amp hour.
We are. I have a baby crying at me from downstairs, so I gotta go. I gotta go help out there.
How's the newfound parenthood?
Oh, it's great. Yep. Yeah, she's adorable.
Yep. It's easy at the moment. I'm telling you, the fun comes in a couple of years when they start. Yeah.
I know.
Yep. Anyway,
I've heard all about it.
Cool. Catch you next time.